Hey guys, Rebel Engine 95, recording live from your local county prison cell. I'm bored and it's nice out, so I'm just gonna do another video here. This is something I'm gonna have to make the thumbnail for afterwards because I'd been throwing the idea of doing this fight around, but I'd never really committed to it. And no, this is not gonna be an April Fool's joke, by the way. Just I thought about doing that, but that's not worth it considering the fight has to stay on my videos list for a while, so I'm not gonna do that. So this is gonna be a serious one. I might wait till tomorrow to upload it actually. But yeah, this is a fight I've been meaning. I had thought about doing. Um, kind of went against it and decided not to. But now that I have the chance to, and I don't want to be blowing through my fights that I have set up too quickly, I'm gonna actually do this one. So, this is Kira, Yoshikage Kira from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, Diamond is Unbreakable, and Adachi from Persona 4. So, the first reason I didn't want to do this is because I didn't want to keep going with that cliche of Persona versus JoJo's. Not that that's actually been done yet in Death Battle, but I've done two fights of it, where I did Joker versus Giorno, and I did Konomaru versus Iggy. And this one further enhances the stereotype of let's have a JoJo's character versus that are similar, and it doesn't help that they're from the same uh installation, they're from the fourth installation of their series, and the plots of those of Persona 4 and Diamond Unbreakable are strikingly similar. And there was there was a time where I was gonna do you versus Josuke, but A, I think that fight's much more one sided than this one, and B, I don't know. There's just, I the characters are more different, so it's more interesting, but there's not as much reason to do it except for drawing attention to the fact that you know jo- Persona versus JoJo's. So this, at least they've got they're pretty much the same character going for them. I guess that's fine. um but yeah, so Kira, I do have to analyze these characters because there is some to go through, so I do have to do this quickly. So Kira is he's a serial killer. They're both serial killers, and he wants to live a quiet life. So because of that, he uses his stand, Killer Queen. Now Killer Queen has a couple of abilities, but they all involve explosions, and the primary one is that anything it touches, it can turn into a bomb, right? And by doing this motion here, using a trigger, it can make the last thing that it turned into a bomb explode. And this explosion completely vaporizes everything about its target, right? The bomb, whatever it made into a bomb, is just gone afterwards. Um, so it is, despite being an explosion, it is actually the perfect weapon for somebody who's trying to not have something traced back to them, because it destroys their bones, their clothes, anything they have on them, item wise. So it's it just completely it vaporizes it and leaves no trace of anything. Um, then it has a secondary stand ability called Sheer Heart Attack, which comes from its left hand. And Sheer Heart Attack is a heat-seeking kind of miniature tank that can just eat through people and steel and stuff like that. I think it's got a drill or something on it. Yeah. So it's basically, it's meant to, ignore that. So it's meant to just chase after its target, and it's incredibly durable to the point where Star Platinum couldn't destroy it. And and things like that. And I don't think it explodes, but it does do something where it like yeah it for fuck's sake. 1 second. Um, yeah, and then there's the third ability that he obtained through his stand becoming a Requiem stand. That is a stand that, like, if you already have a stand, it and you pierce it with the stand creating arrow, then it kind of makes it into a secondary. It evolves it essentially, and that is Killer Queen bites the dust. And this is kind of hard to explain, but essentially he can ignite ignite a bomb, and then it kind of sends him back in time, but the person that he ignites the bomb to will still blow up when at the time that he was there the first time, and then he can just not be there. So it's like seemingly the person just like blows up out of nowhere. um I believe that's what's happening. I'm not entirely sure myself, actually. But anyway, let's go on to Adachi. So Adachi is also a serial killer, except he's also like a detective. So that's his cover, kind of. And he was able to enter the shadow world, I think it was called, or something, where he was able to drag people in and murder them there, and that's where they would just like disappear. Um, and in that shadow world, he obtained his persona, which is just use persona Izanagi, but just evil. It actually has a different. It's Izanagi no Sochi no something, I don't know, but it's evil Izanagi. It's got like some stat differences and I think one different move pool difference, but it's essentially it's the same thing. So this would basically so it's just this giant persona with a huge like sword weapon, and it can generate lightning, and he beat the shit out of you in the movie. like fucking just completely tore open Izanagi. Um so yeah, that was so he's clearly adept, and he's got a gun. He himself has like a gun because he's a cop. So that's cool. That, to be honest, a lot of fights just end by the character has a gun. But never mind that. Um so let's break this fight down a little bit. At first glance, I didn't want to do this fight because I thought it was one-sided, because I thought all Kira has to do is all Killer Queen has to do is touch Izanagi or Adachi, and then that's it. But actually, because of the idea that like, oh, if a stand gets hurt, the user gets hurt, that's much stricter in JoJo's than it is in Persona. Because in JoJo's, it's like a 1-to-1 injury. If your stand gets their hand chopped off, your hand falls off. If the stand gets stabbed, you have holes in your body. Right? It's like whatever happens to that stand is done proportionately to you in like a 1-to-1 ratio. In Persona, it's kind of just like your persona gets hurt and like a physical toll is taken on the user. Like again, Yu's Izanagi got like stabbed through the stomach and like had its face stomped in and just like completely the shit beaten out of it. And if that had been a 1-to-1 injury, you'd be dead. You, Harakami, would be dead. The protagonist, I'm just going to call him Persona 4. Protagonist would have been dead. So it's not a 1-to-1. But he, like, so. And also, personas can be, like, destroyed and the user doesn't die. Whereas stands, if they get, like, destroyed and killed, that's how Dio died. If they get destroyed, the user dies. So, and actually, if your persona gets broken, as it's called, then you can just summon it back, and you're fine. But yeah, that does take like a mental and a physical toll on the person. But Adachi's crazy, so I wouldn't worry too much about the mental toll, to be honest. Um, so essentially to end this fight, Kira is going to have to A, have Killer Queen physically touch Adachi himself and not just Izanagi, or he's going to have to, like, use Bites the Dust, which will probably happen. And then there's nothing. Adachi's just helpless in that case. There's nothing he can really do. Um, because he'll just be like, before the fight even started, Kira will just show up, and then Adachi will just blow up. Um, yeah, and that's how I think this is gonna end. But it's a lot closer than something like you versus Josuke, because Crazy Diamond just being able to heal and being strong, but then Josuke's got like 15, 20 something persona, or Yu's got like 20 personas. Yeah, but this is the one I wanted to do. Again, I think I had to do something like this more so than like, um, like you versus Josuke, because, well, out of all of the Persona protagonists, Joker has the most like character and the most like specific things about him that are like definitely true, whereas in most Persona games, like what your character is like or what they do or anything about them, they're usually just kind of generic, and then the rest of their stuff is up to you. Joker has like the most set in character, and his story, he's like got the most integral part of his, he's the most involved in his story than like compared to the other ones. So if there is a Persona versus JoJo's fight that I would sell basically just off of the character themselves, it would probably have to be, Joker would have to be the protagonist in that fight, right? So Joker Giorno, I would say, is better than Josuke versus you, but whatever. This is not Josuke versus you. This is Adachi versus Kira, and this is how I think it would go. I do think Kira would end up winning. It would happen the way I described it, probably. Um, but it's a lot closer than something like that. I'm gonna, I fucking swear I'm gonna stop doing JoJo's versus Persona fights. But yeah, this is one that I just figured I'd get out of the way while I had some time. But anyway, Verbal Engine 95, see ya.